The shooting happened shortly before 7 this morning. 2 members of the WDBJ-7 team were killed.
24-year-old reporter Allison Parker and 27-year-old photographer Adam Ward were both killed. Our thoughts and prayers with our colleagues at WDBJ-7 this afternoon.
You know, it's actually just been a very emotional day here, and like you mentioned, investigators identified the shooting as Vester Flanagan, also known as Bryce Williams, a former employee at Channel 7. Now, according to law enforcement sources, they say he shot and killed himself in Fauquier County. Now, right now, we're about 4 miles away from where the shooting happened. Franklin County Sheriff's Office is asking us to stay here throughout the investigation.
Team coverage now with Duke Carter, who has been talking with members of the Chamber of Commerce. Duke, I can imagine a difficult day there. What are they saying today?
It is a difficult day for people with the members of the Chamber of Commerce, but details are still limited into Vicki Gardner's condition.
Jen has just got an update that's coming in the newsroom that we'd like to share with you.
Yes, it sounds like Vicki was transported. She underwent emergency surgery, but she is currently recovering and in stable condition at this hour, so that's some good news.
There's just no reason that this should have happened, and I can tell you I've been a broadcaster for 35 years now, and the only 2 other times that I have felt what I'm feeling right now in my heart was September 11th and Virginia Tech. And, you know, those were much greater numbers of deaths, but this hits so close to home. It's so scary. It really is.
First and foremost, at approximately 1:30 p.m. today, the suspect from this incident, this shooting, died at Fairfax and Nova Hospital in Northern Virginia as a result of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. I want to express my condolences to WDBJ-7 TV for their loss this morning.
The mixture of feelings is just sort of hard to describe.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Lindsay Ward.
And I'm John Carlin. This community is stunned tonight.
Just on the other side of this wooded area is Interstate 66, and that's where state police tell us that Vester Flanagan wrecked his vehicle.
As the investigation unfolds, WDBJ-7 employees are grieving the loss of their co-workers. General Manager Jeff Marks says all day the staff is alternated between doing their jobs and stopping to simply hug and cry. Outside the station, members of the community have dropped off flowers and balloons in memory of Allison and Adam.
But I did speak with several of their on-air people, and they're all just devastated here. We're seeing people in the community come out to show their support. Just a few minutes ago, there was a prayer vigil that wrapped up. People say that they watch this news station every morning, and they feel as though Allison and Adam were like family. So even though they may not have met them, they did feel that this hit close to home for them.
Nearly 2 hours after this morning's attack, ABC News received a 23-page document from Flanagan. In the document, he claims today's event is a reaction to the racism of the Charleston church shootings. The community gathered at Reality Ministries International, a church in the town of Bedford, and sang hymns.
This vigil took place in the parking lot of Westlake Cinema, 4 miles away from where the incident happened. Several dozen people sang songs, lit candles, and prayed for Allison, Adam, and Vicki Gardner.
Allison and Adam taken too soon.
Everybody in TV news talks about what would happen if the worst could possibly happen, and I can say with certainty that this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to anybody in this job.
Thank you.
A moment of silence tonight at Lewis Gale Field for the victims of the shootings at Smith Mountain Lake today, Allison Parker and Adam Ward.
Well, it's been a terrible news day today, and tonight we are in the midst of a terrible tragedy. 2 innocent victims are dead, and a third, a celebrated leader in our community, is recovering from gunshot wounds. The gunman is also dead after shooting himself while being pursued by police.
He left in his wake a trail of messages that suggest he was disturbed with a significant grudge against his former colleagues, both of whom grew up and attended college right here in our area. All of this magnified by the fact that it happened on live television.
We in the media are often competitors, but we all strive to serve the public by bringing you the stories that bind us all together. And tonight we are bound in a different way, by sorrow.
Here at WSLS, our hearts go out to our colleagues at WDBJ. Today's story certainly among those we wish we never had to report.
The search for a missing child continues tonight in Pulaski County. 5-year-old Noah Terry Thomas, who you see here, went missing this morning.
There are several people on scene searching for Noah Thomas. I'm going to step out the way so you can see and our viewers can see. As you can see, there are Pulaski County Sheriff deputies, the state police out here, as well as K-9 units out on scene, informing, looking, searching for 5-year-old Noah Thomas.
Police are out right now. They have been out throughout the morning, both on foot, searching the area around missing 5-year-old Noah Thomas's home. They are also been out in the air, up in helicopters, using infrared technology, trying to find some sign of the missing boy. Noah was last seen wearing a camo jacket, black and yellow pants, and Spider-Man rain boots.
Crews are still out searching for the boy, and at this point there is no suspect, no suspicious car or foul plate believed to be involved. Those are the reasons why an Amber Alert has not been issued yet. Crews started searching for him this morning and are going back to the same areas they searched Sunday night.
Right now, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management is holding a news conference to update the community on the search for 5-year-old missing boy Noah Thomas. Let's take a listen live now.
And continuing our coverage for us now is WSLS 10's Ananda Rachita. She spent the day with search crews. She joins us live in Pulaski County. So, Ananda, how many volunteers are helping in this effort?
Now, we were at the fairgrounds earlier today where close to 150 people signed up to be volunteers. It's been an emotional search, especially for parents like Billy Collins.
I'm a dad, 4 kids, 3 daughters and a son, and if nobody's out here looking for them, nobody's going to find them.
At this time, no one is in custody, and a cause of death has not been determined.
WSLS 10's Ananda Rachita has been following this developing story for us all day. She joins us now live with the very latest from the scene. So, Ananda, what continues to happen there behind you?
John, still heavy police presence out here, and part of the road now is blocked off. Police put up crime tape around Noah Thomas's home at about 1:30 this afternoon. We're seeing trucks now being parked in front of the home. For the past several hours, agents with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office have stayed around the home and across the road.
There are a lot more questions than answers at this point. And I think what police are doing is they're just trying to gather all the facts. We've heard a lot of false information throughout this case, so they're really just trying to make sure the facts are getting out, but they have not released any more information than what we heard there at that press conference.
People said goodbye to 5-year-old Noah Thomas today. Noah, of course, was found dead last week in a septic system by his family's home.
We got to learn more about the little boy, what he liked, his personality, and how people closest to him remember him. Hundreds of people came to pay their respects. Community members, friends, and family all mourning the loss of this beautiful 5-year-old boy.
And that was promised a WSLS 10 investigation into financial concerns at a local child care center. In the middle of the storm of questions about its finances, the board of the Northwest Child Development Center fired the executive director, Jacqueline Wiggins, and shut the doors to parents and children. Now, this comes after the community rallied to raise thousands of dollars to avoid a shutdown just earlier this month. A lot going on here in this story. WSLS 10's Dawn Jeffries uncovered documents showing allegations of questionable financial practices long before Wiggins was hired.
It ain't no way 7 directors can be wrong.
Jacqueline Wiggins, who was fired as executive director last night, rallies parents outside the Northwest Child Development Center in Roanoke.
You better fight. That's right. You fight.
The center's board of directors called a meeting late Wednesday and fired her just 4 months into the job.
I am not surprised that they have fired me. I am surprised, though, that within 6 years, I am the 7th executive director who has been fired, and that should have raised a red flag in this community long before I got here to find or inherit this situation.
A situation Wiggins calls deplorable and grossly negligent, sparked by the loss of $100,000 in funding by the United Way.
The board has not shown financial stability of Northwest Child Development Center, but instead gross negligence.
WSLS 10 obtained a number of documents, including this one from the United Way to board chairman Derek Willis back in January. It shows United Way's concern about Northwest's finances and internal controls, and explain the agency was withholding funding until the matters were resolved. WSLS 10 also obtained this memo from previous executive director Gregory Cooper, reporting to the board he'd lost confidence in 2 board members, including Willis. The memo goes on to outline instances where Willis wrote checks for thousands of dollars without the required 2 signatures and to his own company for services.
I'll see what I can do.
We tried to talk to board members at Northwest Thursday. None would talk about the allegations or whether parents were told the center would be shut down today before they showed up to drop off their kids.
Are parents being told? Were
Parents are being told.
Okay, so parents knew this morning that they weren't going to have childcare? Can you explain how some showed up without childcare then?
Parents say there was no warning.
And I was just like so stunned by the situation because I have to be at work.
Bus drivers bringing a handicapped child Thursday afternoon had no idea either. Board members handed employees a letter saying the center would close for good at the end of the month, citing its inability to survive without funding.
The board definitely needs to have a heart, and they need to consider stepping down for these children so that we can reconstruct this board. Funding and support can come in.
Support, the United Way confirms it would consider reinstating under Wiggins' leadership and if the current board stepped down. In Roanoke, Dawn Jeffries, WSLS 10.
Continuing our coverage tonight on the Confederate flag debate at Christiansburg High School, a meeting with community, church, and local leaders is underway right now. The meeting follows last week's suspension of nearly 24 students for wearing Confederate flag clothing. WSLS 10's Duke Carter spoke with leaders who say they want to resolve the issue through an open conversation.
I spoke to the president of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People here in Christiansburg, and he says he wants the community to understand that there are several meanings for the Confederate flag.
Wave your flag! Wave your flag!
On an early Thursday morning, Confederate flag supporters are still protesting in front of Christiansburg High School. President of the NAACP, Alvin Hume, says he wants to have a meeting with protesters. The goal of the meeting at the Christiansburg Community Center is to get both sides to understand the meaning behind the flag.
You just share partially the history behind the symbol.
Local pastors are opening their churches for the dialogue between supporters and those against the flag. The pastor at Asbury United Methodist Church says he's opening his doors to get both sides together to communicate.
So to give some historical facts behind the flag, how it was brought out in the 50s and 60s in defiance of the civil rights movement, and how this really isn't the flag of the Confederacy, it was a battle flag.
It's a shame that we all can't get along and honor each other's beliefs.
Tim Boone, who's with the Confederate flag support group Revolution, says he's glad the community is taking the initiative to have an open dialogue about the flag.
Honestly, I hope the NAACP comes with an open mind. I hope they realize that Revolution and Battle Flag for Freedom support their rights. Just to speak frankly with you, we support everybody's rights. If you're gay, black, green, we don't care.
Boone just hopes they'll find some common ground in the meeting.
We're not prejudiced, we're not bigots, we're not uneducated.
And that meeting is currently underway, and once that meeting wraps up, we'll let you know what happened. In Christiansburg, Duke Carter, WSLS 10.
All right, thank you, Duke. Meanwhile, we reached out to Montgomery County school board members to see if they plan to discuss the flag issue now that the community is having an open dialogue. Board member Joey Lyons told us the school board does not plan to have an open session to address the issue, but did say that could change.
It looks like an everyday trip to the pool. Commonplace.
You ready?
Unless you're African American.
Okay, go! Good job! I got you.
And the majority of African American kids have not had swim lessons.
You gotta use your arms in order to swim. I got you.
It's not a matter of opinion. The CDC says black children are 3 times more likely than whites to drown. USA Swimming reports that nearly 70% of black children can't swim.
A lot of times the parents don't know how to swim. And that fear, it's like a cycle.
Have you ever jumped in the water over your head before?
No.
This was your first time?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was fun.
Okay, go!
A good idea, because 2nd grade seems the perfect time. The kids are big enough and not self-conscious.
We're going to jump in. Yeah, it's going to help you float, right?
And unlike teenagers, they're willing to listen. YMCA instructor Keith Gaines broke the cycle when his parents took him to the Y as a child in Philadelphia.
I always remember the first time getting in the water, I said, this is me. I just knew that this was me.
There was no stopping him. He went on to swim for Howard University in the 70s. But when he looks around Roanoke, he sees few, if any, African-American men who swim like him.
All right, turn around.
Now he's on a mission to change that. He's not surprised that most inner-city kids could not save themselves, even if they fell in right next to the wall.
So those kids would have drowned.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the Y program is getting those kids in the water and breaking down barriers for non-swimmers, black or white.
What we've been looking at all day, we've been keeping an eye on major flooding across the majority of our area today. There are flood watches and flood warnings in effect for several parts of Southwest Virginia. So take a look, just a snippet of the many pieces of video and pictures we've received throughout the day showing damaging conditions as well as extremely dangerous situations. This video is from Wade's Orchard down in Woolwine. High waters completely washed away the nearby historic Bob White Bridge. Meanwhile, the Floyd County Sheriff tells us he has never seen anything like the rising water seen here. Just watch right there as he zooms in. You can see the water surrounding that home and what appears to be a carport. And we will be bringing you live team coverage from the New River Valley to right here in Roanoke on the impact that this 5th straight day of rain is having all across the region.
Here now showing that the showers continue to fall. The rain continues to fall heaviest right now out across the New River Valley. That's why I said that's bad news, because this is the area that has been impacted the most thus far today and yesterday. Galax right now being hit hard with some rain, as are folks in and around Hillsville. More rain heading into Floyd County right now. You've seen pictures of Floyd County. That is not what they want to see in Floyd County for sure.
WSLS 10's Dawn Jeffries is in Blacksburg tonight, where students went home early. So Dawn, bring us up to speed on the situation there.
Yeah, Montgomery County students went home early today, John. We're on Virginia Tech's campus on Duck Pond Drive. I know you've been on campus before. If anyone's been on campus, you're familiar with this road. This road was closed earlier. You see the sign still here. Perhaps they're anticipating with more rain, we may see it closed again. The Duck Pond flooded over onto the road. You still see some of the cones up there as well. You know, and there were a lot of roads like this across our area. Roads were flooded early this morning, and a lot of kids were already in school by the time that happened. Take a look at some of the streets in Montgomery County. In some cases, one lane was covered with water. The roads were impassable in other instances. Montgomery County announced schools would close early today. Parents received notification about 11:30 this morning. The reason, they say, the forecast for flooding. The forecast was changing quickly, they say. They only had a 2-hour window in which to get kids home safely. That gave elementary parents a little more than an hour to make arrangements to get their students.
Lindsay, I saw some of the pictures that you and your photographer Jeff Prezan sent in. I know the Carillion's taking some precautions out there, and we're all wondering about things along the Greenway.
Absolutely, John. We're actually standing on the walkway between Carillon Clinic and its garage. We'll let you take a look at the Roanoke River Greenway. You can't see it. The Roanoke River has flooded its banks. It's approaching some of the roads. As you can see, it's getting higher and higher as it approaches South Jefferson Street Bridge. I want to let you know that Wiley Drive is also blocked because of the rising waters. We've been here for about an hour off and on, and just taking a look at the waters, and they have risen noticeably within an hour, and it just keeps continuing to rise, and it will do so as all that rain that has fallen in Salem makes its way to this area. Also important to note, Bennington Street closed. Police are diverting traffic in that area. The Roanoke River has flooded the Greenway and flooded the street there. So if you live in that area, you're going to need to find another route home. We're going to be here throughout the evening. Coming up at 5:30, we'll tell you what Carillon Clinic is doing to make sure it doesn't fall victim to the rising waters.
Take a look now at some of the dangerous and damaging conditions that we're seeing around the region. This is viewer video taken from Booker T. Washington National Park. It shows us what many in our area are seeing today. And then take a look at Patricia Springs, where Mountain Valley Road is completely washed out by the rain. Another area where the Roanoke River is causing issues tonight is along Bennington Street. Water is blocking the road near the Shell gas station there in the Greenway, and as you can see, the water is rushing right along the fence line. According to the National Weather Service, the water is as high as 12 feet and it does continue to rise. Moderate flood stage is at 14 feet. And we have incredible video of 2 swift water rescues we want to show you. Take a look at this. This is Rockbridge County. A crew in Glasgow managed to walk to a man, woman, and dog stranded in the Arnold's Valley area. That does not look too good, but they made it out okay. Meanwhile, Roanoke, here, another Swiftwater rescue team rescued 2 people and another dog from their home. This is off Cravens Creek Road. That home was surrounded by water, and thankfully they were not hurt. The Swiftwater guys out there doing their job. The low water bridge at Mill Lane is underwater in Salem right now. Take a look. This is near the BP gas station.
Good evening, friends. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Jeff Hanowich. One reminder for you that a flash flood warning is in effect for northwestern Rockbridge County until 2:45. Includes Goshen, Rockbridge, Baths, also includes Mill Creek, Hayes Creek, and also Bratton's Run. It's been a very interesting day because some of us saw no rain at all, while others saw upwards of 3 to 4 inches of rain. And we also have a flood advisory in effect until 1 a.m. for these green shaded areas. Let's take a look at the radar picture, and the rain does continue to fall across some locations. Just know that it's not as intense nor as widespread as it was not more than a couple of hours ago. Bedford County seeing some rain, areas near Smith Mountain Lake, if not over Smith Mountain Lake, seeing some showers. The heaviest rain right now near Craig Springs, Webbs Mill, along Highway 42, along Blacksburg Road, even areas near Catawba Road. This activity is drifting to the southeast, and as it does, it will be more of a player across the Roanoke Valley here over the next hour or so. All right, so for tonight, we are looking at the showers and thunderstorms tapering off. There will be some fog around. Fog could be fairly widespread and it could be locally dense, 64 to 72. Please be careful traveling. For the rest of tonight, I look for the chance for rain for about the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours. Maybe a stray shower or 2 early Wednesday. Better chances for these hit or miss thunder showers, say from 1 p.m. through midnight tomorrow night. I'm not expecting it to be quite as wet as what we've seen over the last 2 days, but still scattered showers and thunderstorms will be around. Thursday, 7 a.m., probably going to awaken dry, but a front's going to cross us in the afternoon into the early evening, providing us another round of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Thursday could be a day to watch out for the threat for perhaps a few severe thunderstorms. The severe weather threat tomorrow is to our west. That is not to say 1 or 2 won't briefly pulse too strong to severe limits, but I think there's a better chance on Thursday for perhaps some damaging wind and large hail. I will also say that on Thursday, these storms are going to move faster. So although there is a slightly higher severe threat for us on Thursday, at least the storms will be moving fairly quickly. But for tomorrow, we're still looking at some very heavy downpours to be possible. Could have some lightning, even some stronger winds embedded in any storm that does form. Temperatures 67 in Hot Springs, 74 Southside, 69 in Galax. Dew points still really high. Dew points are in the low to mid 70s. These are generally dew points that you see in Florida at this time of year, so it's incredibly muggy. Things will change though with this front. Looking ahead, this front will bring us that chance for some showers and thunderstorms on Thursday. Behind it, high pressure builds in, and we're going to see those muggies dissipate a little bit as we head late this week into this upcoming weekend. For tomorrow though, still a little bit unsettled. 77 at 10, 82 by noon. We'll call 88 your 3-degree guarantee high for the day on your Wednesday, and that should be reached around 4:30 in the afternoon. Your extended forecast, lower 90s on Thursday. That's the hottest day. Upper 80s Friday through Tuesday. Maybe a few thunder showers Sunday and Monday. Otherwise, Friday through Tuesday, things will likely settle down a bit for us. There's one fly in the ointment, and that could be a tropical low developing off the coastline of Florida or Georgia by early next week. We'll watch it. 88 is your forecast high today. The actual high was 90, $10 in the pot, 620 so far raised for the Addie Grace Foundation. So guys, once again today, guys, feast or famine. You either got no rain at all, or you got a lot of rain in a short amount of time.
Cave Springs got dumped on about dinner time.
But I believe that concert, the Christina, is her last name Perry?
Yeah, Christina Perry.
and Kobe Calais.
Kobe Calais.
Yeah, I think that concert got on without much of a hitch. I think it was dry for that, so that's a good thing.
I was going to say, it was only 90?
It felt like 98.
It did. It did.
Frankly, revenge matches are usually reserved for in-state rivals and conference rivals, but this one has taken on a life of its own. Alyssa Ray joins me now. She's very familiar with the Buckeyes rivalries. This one in just 1 year, due to circumstances, I suppose, has gone kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unusual for Ohio State to get so amped up about a game against an unranked team, unless it's rival Michigan, obviously. But Coach Beamer has made it very clear they need to get the upset here against the #1 team for the program's sake, that's something they have yet to do. And as far as Urban Meyer goes, he's crafty enough to use this situation to motivate his team.
In an unofficial Piedmont District title, both teams expecting to make lengthy playoff runs in their respective classifications. Alyssa told the tale at 6 of Magna Vista's lone loss on their way to that 3A state title was this game. Alyssa, was the payback in the works tonight?
Not quite, but I'm just chomping at the bit to tell you this. See, I play along. Nice. The game has become quite the rivalry in recent years. This year is just one and the same.
Patrick, a lot of anticipation to hear from the coach, and frankly, this is the most sports media I've seen on this campus in my 10 years here in Southwest Virginia. I think a lot of people wondering about the timing of this, and they would really like to hear from the coach as to the specific reasons as to why exactly now. We're back at the home of the new Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. Yes, that's the new name of the new team entering the Southern Professional Hockey League beginning next fall. And here's a look at what they will look like when they take the ice next fall. The public unveiling just moments ago of the Rail Yard Dogs, the colors, the logo, and the name. The public is here, and a huge crowd, frankly. Between 500 and 1,000 fans, that's a rough estimate, are here as signups for season tickets are indeed underway. And here is the man of the moment. It is President Bob McGinn, who makes hockey a reality again in the Star City.
I think Roanoke is star for hockey. It's a great community. Our boys and myself came down in May. We walked around. Everybody was friendly. The city's beautiful. And we just said, you know what? We got to look at this serious.
The Independence Bowl was certainly an emotional one in Shreveport. Coach Beamer coaching his final game at his alma mater and where he's coached since 1987. The 23-year bowl streak started in that stadium. And here's the man of the hour taking the field for the last time, honored with fireworks as he runs out of the tunnel. But Tulsa wasn't handing out any freebies. In the first minute of the game, D'Angelo Brewer on the 48-yard run will put the Golden Hurricane on the board early. They go up 7-0. Hokies immediately respond to handoff to Trayvon McMillan, and he is gone. He takes this one sideline for the score to tie it up 7-7. The Cadets certainly got their workout in this one, lots of push-ups. Still in the first, though, Brewer connects with Isaiah Ford. He brings it into the house. He finished with 227 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. And wait for it, he'll cap this one off with a little dance with his buddy Cam Phillips. And what would Beamer's last game be without Beamer ball? Greg Stroman on the punt return. He takes the 67 yards for the TD, and Tulsa would make a run in the second half to get within 3. But the Hokies pulled out the win for Coach. WSLS 10 Sports Director John Appicello is in Shreveport with more.
It didn't start out as a typical game in the Frank Beamer era. An offensive shootout has never been in the Beamer ball blueprint. But eventually, defense and special teams resurfaced at just the right time to send the legendary coach out victorious.
We haven't been in many games like this. Usually when we get to score as many points as we did tonight, it's usually a done deal. But I give them credit, and we needed a big play. I mean, you know, if you give that kid time to throw to those receivers, there's going to be a lot of completions, which they had. And the best way to combat that is get him sacked.
You know, we told him there at the beginning of the game, if we can keep getting big chunks in the run game, that it would really open things up, make it easier in pass protection. And we felt like if we could get some time, we could get our guys, you know, Isaiah and Bucky in particular, open down the field. And, you know, you saw that.
That's definitely our mentality. Going into every game is to score a lot of points. We're going to just prepare for each opponent every week and try to prepare and score as much points as we can.
Coach Beamer leaves with 280 career victories, 238 at Virginia Tech. And he passes the torch to Coach Fuente with a ton of offensive talent returning, as both the stat sheet and the scoreboard indicate. In Shreveport, John Appicello, WSLS 10 Sports.
As they endured their most painful loss yet, this couple met Autumn and Donovan Anderson. Autumn, a mom herself, volunteered to carry the Williams child.
It's moving.
As he grew inside her and she felt his movements, she wondered if she'd have the strength to simply hand him over.
You know, I wondered the whole time. There were days that I thought, oh my goodness, did I think this through? You know, this is going to be so hard. And I had a lot of people on my side praying about it. There you go.
Those prayers were answered. The day they've all been waiting for, baby Williams is on the way. Mary Susan is overcome with emotion as she watches the delivery of her son, while Brandon can't keep his eyes off his wife.
I watched her face and her reaction. You could just see it all over her face, and she was crying, but she was so excited and happy. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
After years of crying tears of sorrow, these are tears of extraordinary joy.
I was like, after 10 years, God has answered our prayer. And the way that he did it, and just, every emotion in the book.
Big push, big push.
And with a final push,
Oh, there he is.
as the doctor hands this baby boy to Autumn, Mary Susan cuts the cord, and Autumn hands the child she carried to his mom. Mary Susan wept, cradling her son skin to skin. As Autumn heard her cries, every fear she faced was gone, and any physical pain she felt along the way, worth it.
I couldn't watch Mary Susan. I didn't get to see her reaction, but right after, when she sat on the bed and she just started to sob, I thought, okay, every day was worth it.
There's never been a kid to walk the halls at Salem High School that was easier to like than Adam Ward.
A WDBJ TV news crew was conducting a live interview at the plaza when Vester Lee Flanagan II started shooting.
I believe that she would want her story of love and of beauty and of determination and of rock-solid hard work to be shared with as many people as possible.
And it's a heartbreaking day in Southwest Virginia as the community mourns the loss of two WDBJ7 journalists shot and killed on live television this morning at Smith Mountain Lake.
A third victim survived the shooting. We're continuing to remember 24-year-old reporter Allison Parker and 27-year-old photographer Adam Ward tonight. The two were killed by Vester Flanagan II, a former troubled employee at WDBJ7 who clearly targeted his victims. Flanagan later died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. WSLS 10's Ananda Rachita kicks off our team coverage live from the command center. So Ananda, let's give our viewers some perspective of how events unfolded there early this morning.
Investigators tell me still heavy police presence out there where the shooting happened, and a lot of us are still in disbelief over what happened. Reporter Allison Parker and photojournalist Adam Ward were out covering a story on Smith Mountain Lake's 50th anniversary. Right before 7 o'clock during her live shot, investigators say Vester Lee Flanagan, who is also known as Bryce Williams, shot and killed Parker and Ward. Flanagan was a former Channel 7 employee who had been fired. Another victim in the shooting is Vicki Garner with Smith Mountain Lake's Chamber of Commerce and is in stable condition. Several agencies from Bedford, Franklin, State Police, and Game and Inland Fisheries were searching for Flanagan. Authorities said he later died at the hospital after shooting himself along Interstate 66 in Fauquier County. Now, meanwhile, our hearts go out to Allison and Adam's loved ones during this time. The Franklin County Sheriff says it's been an emotional day for so many of us.
Both Parker and Ward were residents of Roanoke, Virginia. Let us not forget, they grew up in this area. They were part of our community. We don't want to forget that.
Investigator told me that they'll be out near Bridgewater Plaza where the incident happened for several more hours. It's still unclear how long that may take. In Franklin County, Ananda Rachita, WSLS 10.
We want to pursue the angle a little bit more here about Vester Flanagan and how he led officers more than 200 miles from Smith Mountain Lake all the way up Interstate 66, as Ananda mentioned, in Fauquier County. Police here in Roanoke, meanwhile, found this car belonging to Flanagan. It was parked at the Roanoke-Blacksburg Regional Airport. Investigators tell WSLS 10 that Flanagan drove this gray Mustang to the airport after the shooting, and then he switched vehicles to a rental car that he'd reserved over a month ago. Investigators say the rental car was the one that he was driving during the police pursuit. And police have impounded the Mustang and they're now processing it for evidence. Dawn Jeffries continues our coverage. She is live tonight in Fauquier County. That's where the chase ended. So, Dawn, what more have you been able to learn from police?
Well, John, Interstate 66 is just behind me here, behind this wooded area. And as you mentioned, it is where the search for Vester Flanagan finally came to an end. Let's take you back to about 11:30 this morning. We'll show you some pictures. State Trooper Pam Neff was sitting on Interstate 81 at the Interstate 66 exit ramp. She'd been there about 15 minutes. You know, on the drive up here, we saw a number of state police at all the exit ramps, pretty much in the medians. They were all on the lookout for a number of different vehicles. Well, Neff tells us that she had just gotten the description of another vehicle to be on the lookout for, and she entered that into her tag reader. That's a device that will scan license plates as they drive by. I'll let you hear her describe what happened next.
As soon as it was entered, it did come up with a positive hit that that vehicle just passed me less than 3 minutes earlier. I let my dispatch know that that vehicle has passed me, and I attempted to catch up to the vehicle, which was traveling eastbound on 66. How fast his speeds were? He was not going that fast. He was not going above the posted speed limit. I waited until I had several other troopers with me to initiate a traffic stop. The suspect vehicle did not stop. Eventually, he did wreck the vehicle on the left-hand side of the road. Exit my vehicle with several other troopers, and we approached the vehicle. Just a gentleman that appeared to be suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
State police will not say if Flanagan was conscious when they got to his vehicle. He was flown to a hospital here in Northern Virginia. He died about 1:30 this afternoon. Live in Fauquier County, Dawn Jeffries, WSLS 10.
Thank you, Dawn. Of course, the shooting unfolded live on air this morning. WSLS 10 has decided we will not show that footage.
Nor will we show any of the video of the shooting that appeared on social media today, including the video that was actually shot by the gunman and then posted to his now defunct Twitter account. Well, nearly 2 hours after this morning's shooting, Flanagan faxed a 23-page document to ABC News, the national ABC News, and called them saying that, quote, authorities are after me and all over the place.
The document is described as a rambling letter with a long list of grievances, including suffering from racial discrimination, sexual harassment, and bullying, and being attacked for being a gay man.
In that document, he says that today's event is a reaction to the racism of the Charleston church shooting, saying, why did I do it? I put down a deposit for a gun on June 19th, 2015. Of course, the church shooting in Charleston happened on June 17th, 2015, just 2 days before. What sent me over the top, he wrote, was the church shooting, and my hollow point bullets have the victim's initials on them. He also said that Jehovah spoke to him and told him to act, and he quotes Virginia Tech mass killer Sung-Wee Cho and commended the actions of the Columbine High School killers Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. Saying of Cho's actions, Flanagan says, I was influenced by Sung-Wee Cho. That's my boy right there. He got nearly double the amount that Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold got. Just saying.
While it wasn't public, Allison Parker and WDBJ's evening news anchor Chris Hurst were a couple. Today, he spoke with us about their love for the business and one another.
Chris Hurst holds up a special photo album Allison crafted for him as a gift. It's a compilation of memories they made in their first 6 months together.
We moved in after 8 months, which seems like it's a foolish amount of time to be moving in with someone where we were definitely on the same page of wanting to spend the rest of our life together.
Each moment in this book is a small piece of their love story. Chris says he never intended to date a coworker, but Allison was different.
She was so worth it because the way she would look at me, you know, you can, when you know someone loves you, there's a look in their eyes that looks through you and into you, and she gave that to me every single day.
And Chris says every single day after coming home from work around midnight, he would make Allison breakfast before she headed to the station in the early morning hours. But following their weekend getaway, Chris says leaving for work today, she was different.
She, today, I believe, was the happiest that I had ever seen her. When I sent her in the car on her way to the station today, she was the happiest that I had ever seen her.
Now, in that album I just showed you, Allison left it unfinished for Chris to add future happy memories of their relationship. But after today's events, those pages will never be filled.
Family and friends in the community where Allison grew up are also mourning her loss tonight. WSLS 10's Christina Craig picks up our team coverage in Martinsville.
I spoke to Allison's mother, who says she was taken all too soon and that she had the talent to be a star. I also spoke to faculty members and former teachers at the Martinsville City Public Schools, all who would agree.
Former teachers tell us they will always remember the little girl in Allison. She was a well-rounded student. Teachers say they remember her most for her positive attitude, generosity, and a smile that brightened the classroom.
I think that she made a mark on our community. She made a mark on our state. She will be forever remembered for her goodness, for her caring, and for just being the person that she was. So to me, she will always be a shining star.
A gut-wrenching day for everyone whose life Allison touched. At the high school, teachers tell us her death is taking a toll on everybody in this close-knit community.
At this point, all who I've spoke to are in shock over the tragic turn of events, many of whom were watching their former student at the time. And some will always remember the little girl in Allison. In Martinsville, I'm Christina Craig, WSLS 10.
Meanwhile, Salem High School workers reflect tonight on the life of one of their former students, photographer Adam Ward. WSLS 10's Bethany Teague reports.
Adam Ward.
He was sort of an underdog who made you root for him because of his smile, his heart, his enthusiasm for everything.
If there's one thing those close to Adam think of when they hear his name, it's summed up here in this familiar face.
And as soon as he walked in, his smile would light up the room.
Salem High School principal Scott Habib has known Adam since he was a small child.
And we all watched Adam grow up.
He knew from the moment they met, Adam was somebody special.
Adam is everything you would want in a son and a student. His heart was bigger than anybody's.
In addition to teaching Adam, Habib saw the young athlete develop his skills on the football field as an offensive lineman. But it was his heart that left an unforgettable impression.
He was sort of a kid, if you said, hey, Adam, it's your turn, he was going to be running a million miles an hour with a big smile, just waiting to get in there and do his job.
The Spartan coaching staff knows they will soon have to take the field without Adam there to cheer them on.
Today's a dark day.
But no matter how dark it gets, head coach Steven Magenbauer says the light of that infectious smile will never let him give up.
It was always that consistent positive energy, and that's hard to do in this world, I think, and that was just part of who he was.
As friends, teammates, mentors struggle to comprehend the tragedy, one thing is for sure.
Salem High School and our community is a better place because we all knew Adam Ward.
In Salem, Bethany Teague, WSLS 10.
So this is, of course, still a developing story. We are continuing to learn more information minute by minute.
And we'll continue our coverage throughout the rest of the newscast and continue to follow this story during our 7 and 11 o'clock newscast. And of course, when we're not on the air, you can get updates on our website, WSLS.com, or on the WSLS app.
And before we head into a commercial break that we must take, we do want to pause for a moment to remember Allison and Adam and reflect upon how much they touched our community.
As the day goes on, we're learning more and more about the troubled professional career of Vester Flanagan, also known on air as Bryce Williams.
Yeah, he'd been fired from WDBJ approximately 2 years ago, and we also know that police were called in on that day to be present as he was escorted from the building and that he did not go quietly. Workers from other stations where he worked have said that he was a troubled employee there as well. And then Flanagan himself, tweeting under his on-air name of Bryce Williams, showed that he had a grudge with both Allison and Adam, saying on social media, Adam went to HR on me after working with him one time. And then he writes, they hired her after that, and then later Allison made racist comments. Now, we do want to point out that as we move on, there was a lone survivor in this morning's shootings. Parker was interviewing Vicki Gardner with the Smith Mountain Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce about the lake's 50th anniversary when the shooting happened.
As WSLS 10's Duke Carter learned today, Gardner is instrumental in her community.
People who knew Vicki Gardner here in the Smith Mountain Lake area say that she loved meeting new people and she was extremely quick-witted. They say she is the face of Smith Mountain Lake. The chairman of the board right here for the Smith Mountain Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce, Troy Keaton, says that she's been at the board for nearly 15 years. She's worked with several project developers who wanted to bring businesses to the area, and people who work with Gardner are glad that she's recovering at the hospital.
She's very outgoing. She's very friendly. She's extremely intelligent. She has done a wonderful job to bring the chamber up to speed, to really advertise Smith Mountain Lake.
Roanoke Memorial workers say Vicki was rushed to the hospital earlier this morning, underwent surgery, and is now currently in stable condition. In Franklin County, Duke Carter, WSLS 10.
Thank you, Duke. Meanwhile, WSLS 10's Bree Jackson has spent the afternoon out in front of WDBJ7, and that's where she picks up our team coverage now. So, Bree, emotions are running high, and there are still so many questions.
John, there are still so many questions that people in the community want answers to, but right now people are just trying to figure out why something like this would happen. Earlier today, managers from WDBJ did hold a news conference where
I'm having a little trouble with Bree's audio right there, but Lindsay, I think we want to point out to our viewers that you were over there at Channel 7 earlier today.
Yes.
And one of the things that the station manager, Jeff Marks, told you is that some of these allegations that have been made in the manifesto had actually been checked out by authorities.
Unfounded allegations, and he describes him as an angry, he was an angry employee. So he did not leave on good terms. Obviously, we have reported that, and so they did a thorough investigation of all the claims that he made out there against all of the co-workers he had, and they were unfounded. So it is very important to point that out as well.
And again, there's a pattern of this that we have seen from the, now we're learning from the various stations where he worked throughout his career path, not just at Channel 7.
Absolutely. And of course, we want to share our deepest condolences to the families and friends of Allison and Adam tonight. They're from right here in our community, including the entire WDBJ7 family. Stay with us. Jeff will have your Storm Team 10 forecast coming up after the break.
Now, Southwest Virginia's best weathercast, as awarded by the Associated Press.
Welcome back, friends. Your forecast for tonight: fair, comfortable, cool overnight lows 53 to 61. Could there be a stray shower this evening south and east of Roanoke? Sure, there could be. Same thing for the day tomorrow. Stray shower possible. Otherwise, a mix of sun and clouds, probably more sun than cloud cover. Still pretty pleasant tomorrow with highs 75 to 83. Your next 7 days look like this. We're in the low to mid 80s Friday and Saturday, climbing on up into the mid to upper 80s by early next week. Now, as the temperatures go up, the humidity values will go up as well. Each and every day there's a chance for maybe a stray shower or two, with a better chance for some hit or miss thunder showers on Sunday and also on Wednesday. Appy.
All right, thanks, Jeff. The Redskins suffer a key loss on defense today, and the camp tour checks in at the home of the Colonels. Sports is next.
Now, WSLS 10 Sports from the Blue Ridge Honda Sports Corner.
Welcome back, everyone. The camp tour closing in on the 1st and 10 special coming tomorrow night. Tonight, we are back in Roanoke City as we check in with the William Fleming Colonels in the final week of Camp Tour 2015. Coach Bobby Martin's team an impressive 8-2 in last year's regular season before falling to Eastern View in the first round of the 4A playoffs, the school's first playoff appearance since the 09 season. Coach Martin is in his 3rd season at the Roanoke City School, and with a 5-victory improvement from year 1 to year 2, the sky appears to be the limit for the Colonels.
Just lay the foundation. Hopefully you guys can pick it up. We got a lot of young guys, and we're just trying to get better. We can't rest off of last year. Last year was great for our community and our school, even for this team, but this is a whole new year.
We need to work harder since all my seniors were my linemen. They all gone, so I need to get my new line straight so we can achieve greatness, get back to that 8-3 season.
It's like a daily routine. We just got a bond now that we didn't have, but now we rolling and we clicking. So it's like a daily routine. Come out here and work, and it's all gonna pay off.
Coaches push us every day for the seniors to push the other younger guys, being leaders. He pushes all the time about being a leader on the field and off the field.
Colonels open up at Jefferson Forest in what could be a battle of 4A contenders come playoff time on Friday night. Coming tomorrow night from Glenver High, the 1st and 10 preseason special, 7:30, right here on WSLS 10. Well, he's just been signed, hasn't played a game yet for the Redskins, and now he's gone due to injury. Linebacker Junior Gillette tore an Achilles tendon at the end of practice today. Faces 6 to 8 months of rehab for the injury. The rush linebacker was grabbed up after the Saints released him earlier this summer, and the Skins had hoped he could team up with Ryan Kerrigan to form a strong pass rush combo this season. Some news and notes for you. More sad news as a construction worker was killed, another injured while working on the roof of the Vikings' new stadium. The man who died fell about 50 feet to his death. A second worker seriously injured there. Marshawn Lynch's fine for the NFC title game silence, $75 grand, will be contested tomorrow in a hearing, and the Red Sox are hosting the Hillcats. John, Lindsay, back to you.
All right, thank you, Appy. Meanwhile, during a press conference held earlier this evening, WDBJ managers expressed their condolences. Mourners have also stopped by the station with flowers and balloons. A vigil is planned there tonight at 6:30.
So tonight we're in the midst of a terrible tragedy. 2 innocent victims are dead, and a third, a celebrated leader in our community, is recovering from gunshot wounds. The gunman is also dead after shooting himself while being pursued by police.
He left in his wake a trail of messages that suggested he was disturbed with a significant grudge against his former colleagues, both of whom grew up right here in our area.